Good morning, Australia. Good evening, America, wherever you are. Glad you're along. It's Talking Baseball Australia. We're on the air. A big show this week coming to you. Paul Morgan will be joining me in a moment. Robbie Glendinning also joining us. That show's coming up next right here on Talking Baseball Australia.
It's Talking Baseball Australia. It's baseball updates you'll really love. The MLB and ABL news you want. With Paul Morgan and Dan Vaughn. It's baseball's best mate all year round. From the batter's box to the mound.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Baseball Australia. Dan Vaughn with you. I'm going to be joined by Paul Morgan and Robbie Glendinning. First off, bring my partner in crime in. He is from, he's from, but he's also joining us live. This is like, we're going to be all over the world tonight, okay? And a good morning to you in the West, but joining us from the west of Australia, from lovely Perth, where it's, just mid-morning there, mate. How you doing? Good morning, Paulie. Oops, sorry about that. Let's try it again. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, DV. Can you hear me this time?
I can hear you this time.
No fiasco.
And right off the top here, am I echoing to you? By the way, things sound okay? Things sound okay?
You're all good.
Okay. I sound funky, but I do sound funky. I'm the king of funk.
Yeah.
All right, joining us
Keep showing
off the top. Robbie Glendinning is joining us from somewhere, someplace, and he'll be joining us right. Where they are, Robbie? How you doing, mate?
Yeah, hey Dan, how's it going? Good. How are
Good.
you?
Let me put us all on one big screen here. There we go. Let's try this one right there.
I can't see Paul. I feel like I'm he's left out. He's kind
of in the dark there.
Oh, okay.
I'll be the creep in the corner.
He's creep in the corner. Robbie, catch us up. What you're doing right now?
Yeah, right now I'm actually on. I'm with Steve Fish. Usually he takes a tour of Australia every year up and down the west coast. This year due to COVID, it's just Portland area kids from Oregon, so I'm helping out coaching that, and it's been a lot of fun. So learning a lot, and it's great being with him, and just traveling up and down the United States.
First thing I want to ask, and Paul, feel free to jump in as well. Crazy year. I mean, there's no doubt. This has been a crazy year. How have you been staying in shape? How have you been staying busy? I mean, you're not playing, but what's that challenge been like for you?
Yeah, it's been tough. It's been good being on this trip because I'm able to swing a bat and throw a ball every day. But it's been tough. I think. Just not really knowing what's going on. Anybody really has much information. And then obviously with the minor leagues, they can. It's kind of been really tough to stay motivated. So it is what it is. And I'm sure I'm not the only one in that boat.
Robbie, was there a thought for you, obviously, when the whole COVID broke and things aren't as bad in Perth as they are over there? Was there a thought?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead. Can you hear Paul?
No, I can't.
Oh gosh, we're having all kinds of trouble here. I do apologize. Paul, I'll go ahead and how about I just pull you down, Paul, for a moment, and I'll bring you right back. So just be Robbie and I. Robbie and I are echoing. I'm not sure why. So I'm gonna. Anyway, got all kinds of problems here. I'm gonna try to fix this if I can. Give me a little bit of a moment here, Robbie. Let's get this here. I'm gonna pull this out.
It's just showing you on the screen. I can't see Paul. I can't hear you now.
Oh boy. Yeah. Let's try it again. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, we're a little bit of an echo. I'm not sure why that's going on, but let's go back to. I'm trying to. Doing a little bit of producing on the fly here, Robbie. Sorry. Usually I'm actually good at this, but for some reason I am dropping the ball today. Let's pull this off right No, maybe that'll work. No, not working. No, that's not working either. Okay, I'm told we're fine now. Okay, all right. Sorry, Robbie. How frustrating was waiting? As the guy who works in baseball, I was waiting, sitting around, idling. How frustrating was it for you?
Yeah, it was really frustrating, just not knowing much, and just everyone in the same boat. No one really heard anything once spring training got cancelled. No one heard much until, honestly, like we found out everything through Twitter as well. So there wasn't much information, and it was just, it wasn't good, and it was really frustrating for sure.
Did it slow your momentum down? Like you slowed down? Obviously, I would think it would.
Yeah, a little bit. Especially, I really wanted to get this year going. I had a solid year last year, so I was looking forward to carrying that momentum. And it was just frustrating on all parts. There wasn't much information, and it was just, it wasn't good. It was really.
Yeah, and you were so close last year. You were a high A. You're knocking double A and high A. You're knocking on the door, perhaps double A, triple A this year. You were right there, and get the rug pulled out from underneath you. I mean, that had to just cause some sleepless nights, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely the worst part. Just that I had a good year in high and double A last year, and then I had an opportunity to start in triple A this year, and then you're really only a good, month of good baseball away, and it's definitely very frustrating.
Team Australia put on ice as well. Of course, trying to qualify for the Olympics, that was put on hold. Where is Team Australia right now? Where does that stand right now going forward? Where are you guys at?
We're in a good spot. Obviously, we had the Olympics this year, and then we also WBC being cancelled. So it was an exciting year for us. And then, for it to all get postponed.
I mean, they are going to be a very, no matter how you slice it, they're going to be a very, very difficult team to beat.
So that's the way we're looking at it. And just keep bonding with the group however we can. We've had a couple of Zoom calls and different stuff like that. Just, I feel like the better camaraderie we have and the closer we are, and now that we have this extra time to prepare, we should be pretty strong heading into 2021 and 2022.
You're watching Talking Baseball Australia live. Here is Robbie Glendinning joining us. My name's Dan Vaughn. Paul Morgan is standing by in the wings. He'll be back with us in a moment. Get the echo out of the way. You're one of those international cases that got drafted. And, you went to the junior college route, All-American there, SEC at Missouri. You've done it a different way than a lot of guys have done. Would you recommend that route to young guys?
Definitely for me, I think it was the right route just due to the fact that I hadn't really developed, and I really needed that extra time in junior college to develop physically and as a baseball player. So for me, those 2 years in Iowa were really good. I had a bunch of great coaches, and all those coaches now are in professional organizations. So I got lucky in the fact that I had coaches that cared about my development. And then when I got to Missouri, it was all just about experiencing better competition. So seeing how I went against that, and that was definitely humbling for me, that the fact that I wasn't as good as I thought I was, and I kind of did struggle a little bit, and it kind of just instilled my work ethic. So I would recommend it. Obviously, if kids at 16 are getting a big bonus, then it's tough to turn that down. But especially for Australians that haven't played much baseball as teenagers, it can definitely be advantageous for them to go get a couple extra years of college for sure.
I think you're kind of the poster boy for that whole going to work in the college ranks. Something we talk about on this show, we've talked about over and over in our broadcast in Perth, is you guys need at bats. Australian players need at bats, and the North American players almost can play year round. There's not as many opportunities, but getting those college at bats, and I've always said, getting 2, 3 years, 4 years of college instead of 2 years of pro ball is huge. Did that factor for you as far as a player development, those extra years of college? Did it help you as a ball player development-wise?
Yeah, 100%. As an Australian, really growing up, I really only played maybe 20 to 30 games a year, while American kids playing 100. So I was behind in game aspects fundamentally, and my actions and my technique were quite good due to practice. And
as a young
down in WA do a good job with Andy, Kyle, and all them. They do a good job of, getting the fundamentals right. But yeah, you're right. We are behind in gameplay, and I definitely think college was a huge aspect for me to catch up in that.
My memories of being Perth, my first couple of years, I heard about you, but never saw you play. But I always talked about the broadcast, and I still do, about young guys coming up, watching the Heat legacy, watching the Heat guys. Were there guys you watched as a young man that were kind of your heroes for baseball guys as Heat players?
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty vocal about it. Luke Hughes and Tim Kennelly were the kind of the two. And then you had guys like Liam Hendricks, and Luke Hughes, Tim Kennelly, Liam Hendricks, and really all the Heat players, Yeah, it was. They definitely looked up to them, and yeah, it was awesome.
The Heat legacy, it had a rough year a couple years ago. The year before you came along, it's rebounded. You guys are right back on track. I think of guys like Jess Williams and Alex Hall and you guys are the next stars. You guys are now the Luke Hughes, the Tim Kennellys. Has that sunk in that you guys are carrying that legacy?
Not really. I think that we have a bit to do before we can start talking about legacy, like the guys of the golden ages did, that won just every year, year in, year out. So I think we have to perform a little better to be considered that. But it definitely is exciting, and Perth Heat as a whole have really cared about homegrown players. So I'm glad the owners now, and Rory and Mickey Carter and all those guys, Dale, really work hard to, look after our homegrown players. So it is important to the Perth Heat and to the legacy, and I think fans take pride in coming out to watch us. We could be like other teams and have a bunch of Americans, but I feel like the Perth Heat's only as strong as the locals, and I feel that that's what fans want to see.
Wrapping things up, final thing, I'll let you go because the audio is kind of funky on my end. I just made you in charge of the ABL. You're now Robbie Glendinning, head of the ABL. You're head of the whole thing. What do you do to help grow the game in the league in our country, in Australia?
I think it starts, it's tough because there's so many different avenues you could go down, whether it be money. Obviously, that's a huge hurdle. But I would try to get the baseball stadiums more central in the city. So I feel like Perth's a little far out. If Perth had a stadium in, say, Leederville or something like that, I feel like that would make the game so much more attractive. I feel like, if Melbourne was in the heart of Melbourne and not Altoona, or different stadiums like that, I feel like if we could get in the city centres, because people enjoy the entertainment, they enjoy the night. I think it's just getting them out there. I feel like that would be a huge step. So I realize it's tough to just build new stadiums, but if I was in charge of the ABO, I feel like that would be one of my main priorities, is to get it more accessible to people, especially in the city centres.
Robbie, my friend, appreciate you, mate. Thanks for the time. And I know the audio was a little funky. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. I promise next time we'll figure it out.
No worries.
Thanks for your time, mate.
Anytime. You better call me back on here soon. I like talking baseball with you guys.
Yeah, we'll get you back on very soon. I promise you that, mate.
All right.
Cheers, mate.
Catch you later.
Thanks, Robbie. Thanks, Robbie. Robbie Glendinning right there, joining us there from points somewhere all between. He's helping actually with Steve Fish right now in the baseball tour. I'm going to bring Paul back on. And Paulie, I'm sorry, we kind of have the wheels off here. I've got Echo Central here, and the funny thing is, Paulie, is that I did all this work today, and did things like highlights and things like that, and the wheels came off. How are you, mate? How you doing, buddy?
The more
let's try him again. He's not coming. You're not coming through now. Try your button there.
You can hear me now?
No. Bueller? I got you, mate. Well, we look good. Echo was back, I've been told. Yes, I know. I've got my engineer, my wife, who I love her dearly, but all I know is that it's a train wreck right now. Well, let me put you down here. Log right back in, Paul. We'll try you again. Let's see if that will kind of help. Let me pull him down there and just come back to Paul in just a moment. Again, pardon me. Sorry about that. We had a little echo problem. I don't know where this came from. Actually, while Paul's checking in, I'm going to do here because it was not the problem I thought it was. Let me try something real quick as Paul will be joining me in just a moment. And let's try There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Talking Baseball Australia is the show. I promise you one day we'll get it all figured out. Paul's going to join me here in just a moment. What I was going to do was going to show you guys things like this, and I can do that while we're waiting for Paul to come back. But I was going to show you some things like this. But some of the, we're talking about Rod. This is one of the things I was talking about was having a little cover video. I was going to go, wow, this show's actually pretty good. You guys are doing a great job. You've got cover video and all kinds of stuff. Man, look at these guys. These guys this is a really great show. And I was going to have Robbie in the background as he was watching that and talking about the highlight right here and all that. And I was all fired up. And Paul's ready to join me in just a moment. I'll bring him in here in just a moment. But there's Robbie with with the base hit right there. And again, sorry about that. And I'll bring the video back down. But I had video all for it's ready to go, and that's courtesy of the Heat and Paul standing by. We will try this again. You know, some people say, and I don't know how true this is, but they say one of the beautiful things about live social media is that you occasionally have fiascos like this, and that was definitely a fiasco, Paul. Can you read me over? Nope, can't hear me? No hear me at all, huh? Well, oh boy, folks.
I don't know if you can hear me, DB, but I can't hear you.
I don't know what is going on, but oh boy. What? No, you don't hear me at all? No, hear me? I don't hear you. Let's try Paul again. He is there. He's on. No, he doesn't hear me. No, hear me. Oh, well. We're trying, folks. We're trying. Let's try this. Still don't hear me. Is anybody out there here? Let's just try that. Anybody out there? I swear this show is going to be good one day. But apparently it's not going to be good today. So I do apologize. Paul, going to try it one more time, and let's bring this down here. But try it again one more time. Paul's going to join me one more time. Good to see you guys out there tonight. One of the fun things about live social media and video is it's the whole on the fly, the seat of your pants deal. And it's definitely a seat of our pants deal. So I don't know really sure what happened there, but Robbie joining. Robbie sounded fine. I was hearing a major echo. Let's see if Paul is joining one more time here. What's going on tonight? I mentioned the show. We jumped right into it off the top there. ABL News put a talk about Brooke Knight, new Brisbane logo, Australian Women's Championships canceled, Alan D. San Miguel note, something for the American Association, and some odds and ends, and really nothing major baseball-wise except for the schedule coming out, which means that the Major League Baseball starting the tail end of the month, the 24th. There is some change in the states because, especially in places like Arizona, Texas, as Paul will be back in a moment, Arizona and Texas and Florida, there's been a big spike in the COVID. So there's still some definite question marks as far as that's concerned. We're going to get to that again. I'm going to bring Paul in. Let's see if we can get him back again and try. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Let's pull that one back down. We're not closed just yet. Oh boy. All right, Paul, let's bring you back on here. Anyway, but yeah, there's as far as the baseball news, there's quite a few little tidbits. It's kind of like the little the appetizer platter here and there. We're going to bring Paul on, I swear, if the computer will cooperate with me here. I swear. Talk amongst yourselves here. There we go. Let's try him again. Let's try him again and see if we can bring him on here and see if he will join us in the 3-2-1. And trying, but I can't get Paul to come up here. What a major meltdown this show has turned into. Hold on just a second, mate. I'm going to try it one more time. I keep pushing the button, and he's not showing up. And all right. Yes. Come on. There we go. I think it's going to start. Here we go. He's coming up in 3-2-1. There we go, and boom. So, no, I don't want that. We'll bring that down. Waiting. It's blank screen, waiting. Boy. Don't know where he is. I'll bring him back down again. Oh, boy. There's a great Jimmy Buffett song, and he says if we all couldn't laugh, we'd all go insane. Well, right now I'm going insane because I am flying by the seat of my pants, and I look like a complete hack. Let's try it again. Paul Morgan, here he comes. Let's try it again. All right, bud, let's try you one more time here. Can you hear me by chance? I don't see you. I don't hear you. I'll try one more time. I will continue to run the show here. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. This is baseball's best mate all year long, and we talk baseball from an Australian standpoint, a slant, if you will. Really nothing to talk about MILB time because, of course, that was suspended. We talked to Robbie Glendinning a moment ago, and MILB's in dry dock right now. Of course, questions and comments, let have you. Off the top here, I'll give you this piece, and I really want Paul to join me in this because here we go. Let's try it again because he has spent a lot of time with the next sub. There we go. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Well, I can't hear you, but let's try. Oh, here we go. All right, now we're good. We're good. We're all good. Hold on, just a second. I found the missing piece there. I think I got you now.
You got me?
No, well, shoot. Why can I not hear Mr. Morgan? I've got him on. You can hear me at all? No? Sign language? You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Are you guys hearing Paul by chance? Anybody out there? Oh, boy, I can't even hear him. I can't hear you, bud. So the house looks good. Things look good. What a great show. Maybe we can do sign language. I can just, you can do a dance. Do it your own live tick. Yeah, there you go. Hello, everybody. There you go. There. I feel like I might get a fiasco. Is what it is. My wife can hear you, so let's actually do this. She says she can hear you. Don't know how I can do this though. I can't hear you.
I can hear you beautifully.
Let's try one. Let me try one thing here, bud. And see if that'll work because we're having, I don't know if it's internet issues or what, but let's try one little thing here. Talk amongst yourselves, everybody.
Yes, it's the joys of people always say should you get live or should pre-record?
Still don't hearing. Well, you hear both. My wife says the wife says she hears both. The only person that's still around now. Everybody else has packed them in for a Friday morning because I am not hearing Mr. Morgan. Let me try one more time there. I don't know why. I don't know why we're not getting him at all. And oh well. Should I just continue on my own? And I guess. Sorry, mate. Anyway, you spend all freaking. And this is the beautiful part about this show. You spend all day working on it, and it all goes to pot. All right, here's what I'm going to tell you about. First off, I wanted Paul's comments on this, but Brooke Knight, you guys may have seen this. Brooke Knight is not coming back to Perth. And there's several things at play here. And basically, the big thing is that Brooke is he's got a business out of Oregon. He's been doing this financial work for a number of years. He's been doing. I think it goes back to. Oh boy, I think Brooke's done the financial planning 25 plus years. It's always been his job. And Brooke not returning to the Heaters, and I don't think it's a huge surprise for several reasons. And I think the big reason, the big reason I think is most of all is the COVID. The COVID situation is part of it. Also, his son Briley is playing collegiate ball, just transferring. I believe he's going to the University of Portland. He was at the University of Utah, but I believe he's now at the University of Portland. And that also plays into it, being gone from home, being gone from loved ones. When your son's in college, that's very tough. And I think that also played into it. I think that in just the whole timing of it, I think a lot of it's still up in the air as far as where the league goes and what happens to the league. I think there's a little bit of, I don't want to say concern, it may be the wrong word. There's some question marks that maybe the Australian Baseball League sort of hangs in the balance. It depends who you talk to. I think that baseball in Australia at the moment is probably okay. They're really a month out from making the schedule, but I think all those things went into play for Brooke. But I think you combine all those things, I think you'll see him back again at some point. He went away for a short time. Briley, his son, would have been around his senior year in high school. He went, or sophomore, junior year. He went away for 2 years, came back. Remember, Brooke managed the Heat. Went away, then came back to Adelaide, then went away, then came back. And I think you're going to see his touch on Team Australia and on the Perth Heat and perhaps another club in Australia at some point. I can see that as well. But I think just for the time being, the timing was right with the financial situation in the United States, the COVID situation, his son transferring schools and being a sophomore and had a great first year in college. I think all that goes into play, and we wish Brooke the best. We're going to get him on. We're going to reach out, and I promise we won't be such a train wreck. We're going to get Brooke Knight on our list of guests for this summer on Talking Baseball Australia. Paulie, if you ever reset, maybe on your cell phone, I'd be great as well. I'd love to have your comments there. But thank you, mate. Good to see Spider out there. William Sinclair, the legend out there. But yeah, Brooke Knight is not coming back to now. That leaves a managerial opening. I have no idea who it's going to be, but I would guess. I'm guessing here. The door's wide open again for perhaps a return of Andy Kyle, perhaps. I would think Steve Fish's name would be in the mix as well. Two guys that have had spent time there. But I think Andy Kyle's kind of your guy. I always believed in Andy for quite a while. I've always believed Andy was the next guy up, and I thought he would. I got you, Paul. I hear you now, so I can pull you back on. Yeah, let me pull you on here. And I want to get your comments on Brooke. We've got a new reset here. I'll get you on. Let me bring the logo down, but I do hear Paul. Let me bring Paul Morgan on, and I think he'll echo what may happen. Again, I'm just speculating, but I do believe that probably we are headed to maybe a return of Andy Kyle to the man of the top step, we like to call him. Let me get you there, Paul. There we go. I got you now. I can hear you much better as a 3-2-1. There you are. I hear you now.
Wow.
Gee, I'm earning my keep. I'm going to run down. When this show's over, I'm running down. I'm going to crack open the Fiasco flask, and I'm going to just sit there on my patio with the Mozzies and just drink all night. Just drink all night with the Mozzies on my porch.
You just Gatorade shower yourself in the Fiasco flask.
I'm telling you, mate.
Hey, it's one for the highlights reel again. But,
well, and they all are, and part of the part of the pull the curtain back, part of the funny bit is, and a lot of people say this because the live social media, what makes it so appealing to a lot of people is because mistakes happen. It's kind of by the seat of your pants. It's not, you want a polished product, but it's not so polished that you feel like you're watching ESPN, but you want it to at least look and sound okay and sound professional. And I spent a lot of time today on this damn thing, and I was just trying to keep the ship afloat without having Robbie drive off the road. But I was talking about Brooke there for a moment, and I know you're very close to Brooke. We both are. You have a long-term relationship with him, even longer than I do. Your thoughts on Brooke and where the Heat go from here?
Yeah, look, I think I don't think it's really an enormous surprise that he's not returning. I mean, I mean, our state border, the West Australian border, isn't even open to the rest of the country. So, to sort of try to plan, if you're, from anywhere, even from Melbourne, to try to sort of plan to come back to Perth is relatively a bit of a lost cause at the moment. Pair that in with, just the state of the world. Pair that in with, as you mentioned, Dan Briley, and also, as Brooke mentioned, his business, needs a lot of attention at the moment because there's a lot going on in the housing and finance world of America. So, look, it's not surprising. I'm with you, though. I think,
obviously really,
for me, I think you'll see him return to Australia at some point. I think at some point you'll probably see him in green and gold colours as well. But look, he's done a terrific job, and it's going to be a different. Look, I think this season in general, fingers crossed the season gets underway. I'm still probably a little bit maybe not as the glass isn't as full as the top empty that the season kind of goes ahead, just based on
obviously a very close play at the plate. The throw from centre field. Did you see it?
I thought Moreno made a hell of a throw. I mean,
I would just go out on a limb and assume that Andy Kyle's your logical guy to come into that role again, which would be great for the Heat as well. And this is what that team has done so well over such a long period of time. They've had Andy in the system, they've had Brooke in the system, they've had people who can sort of come in and sort of take the torch and go again. But
yeah, he's a name, Andy. It's the first thing that came to mind. I mean, I would have, we talked about this. The one down year, the 15-16 season, when Matt Kennelly was the next guy and he elected to, it's kind of a crossroads in his career. Matty was either going to go baseball full time as a manager and a coach, or the police academy. He went to the police academy and now is up north and doing his thing and doing great things there. And Andy stepped in at the right time. Andy, of course, baseball background, baseball family, time in North America. He's also served on the Team Australia staff. I think he makes sense. Steve Fish, I would think, would also be sort of the mix too. He's got a lot of his fingerprints all over the West. A lot of the young kids. Robbie Glendinning was just with Steve on that trip right now over in Idaho. I think those are names that come up. But I'm kind of with you. There's no official word, but they say they're going to announce this pretty quick. Andy Kyle's your guy, I would think, wouldn't you? It's got to be.
Look, I would think. I mean, again, I think like you need to take into account what's happening globally, of course. You probably need someone who's here now. Andy's here. He's long part of the system, and to me, he's the logical choice. Doesn't mean he will be the choice, but no one's called us to ask us for our opinion, DV. So, but look, I would say he's the logical choice. I'm with you with Fish as well. Another strong choice. It's just more around. As I said, I think it's a hard place to get into at the moment, Western Australia and Perth. So you would think, as you'd want to start taking training and slowly get back in the swing of things, Andy's in a pretty good spot.
Another name that of news that came up this week, and it came up, I guess, yesterday, and I'll put him up on the screen there, Alan D. San Miguel, of course, the former Heater, now Melbourne Ace. And after a couple of years he wasn't playing, he was coaching with the Royals organization. D. San, who we talked about, how many times we said this about him and Matt Kennelly and the other guys who were a step away. They were so close. They were one or two injuries away from getting a chance at AAA or the big leagues. D-San finds himself in that 60-man player pool, and he's again on the cusp one more time. That's some news that happened that kind of came out of nowhere. Well, I shouldn't say came out of nowhere. He was already coaching with the Royals, but he finds himself in the player pool.
Yeah, a couple of injuries to the Royals, and D-San's right there. And look, he very well could get an opportunity at the big league level this year. I mean, again, it's a 60-game season. Strategy is going to have to change, and you don't know, with so much travel involved with in the 60-game season as well, you don't know how teams are going. Maybe if the Royals are playing up in Chicago, maybe they're in Kansas one night, maybe they send D-San up to Chicago the day before, maybe they want their battery fresh. You don't know. So potentially huge opportunity, and just a great story, DV, of just hanging in there. And he just hung in there and retired from the ABL, of course, and it's interesting. But good for Desan.
And that's a good point, because we talked about this last week on the roster makeups, that the big league clubs will have the 28-man roster initially the first 2 weeks, drops to 26 on day 15, and it drops down to 24, and so on. But one thing they're going to be allowed to do is carry at least one emergency catcher with them when they go on the road. So if that emergency catcher comes up in the 60-man squad, and you got to have somebody down there, and suddenly you're even one more step closer, because you can still be on the travel squad and not actually be in the active roster. So those catcher positions are very prime. And he's right there. I don't know where the depth chart sits, but he's definitely a guy that is close to getting. Good to see, and good for Desan, and good to see him jump right out there and get a chance to be on that roster. Other items here, I didn't pull it up today. I should have, but it's a little older news. It happened last week, and maybe we'll talk more about it next week. Other tidbit of news, a little older in the ABL. Brisbane went with a new color scheme, logo switch a bit. I don't know if I can pull that up while we're talking about it, but the Brisbane Bandits changed things up. Your thoughts on the rebranding? I know you're a big branding guy, a rebranding guy. We love uniforms. We love all that stuff.
Yes,
so
we love a good kid.
Your thoughts on the new colors?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not. I love sort of colors that also go back to sort of represent a city or a state. Brisbane, typically that maroon color. I would have liked to have seen something maybe a bit more maroon. I look, it's a good kit, good looking kit, good logo, great job from the graphic designer who's done it. But look, the blue and gold makes sense in Brisbane with the sun and the ocean. But I liked their kit. The best, in my opinion, the most pleasing part about it, and some people might have seen it on our Twitter and whatnot, it opens a door for the Heat to go back to a yellow and gold, and that's sort of I think the best part of the kit. But no, it's a good. I think it'll pop really well. But as a few people in the ABL world have pointed out, now you've got basically more than half the teams in blue. You've got Geelong, Korea, you've got Brisbane, you've got Auckland in a sort of a blue, and you've got Melbourne in sort of a blue, and so there's a lot of blue happening, which is fair. What happened to the travelling greys? Everyone just abandoned the travelling greys, DB.
Yeah, I love the traveling grays. My favorite ABL uniform in recent years was those simple traveling gray Perth in block across the front. I love that look. I think that to me, and it's the same one the T-Bones wear, a traveling gray as well. I love it. Let me put this up here for you guys too in the stream. Oops, I think I did a moment ago. Here we go. Let's try to put this up for this is what I was talking about. I loaded this in, and let's see if it'll show up for us here. Come on. There we go.
I think. Look, I think it will look great though. I mean, I think that hat particularly that'll sell well. That hat. It's I think it will really look good on camera as well. Those blues, vibrant blues. But look, the only thing is Queensland is in rugby league world it's so known as the Maroons or Maroons, however you want to pronounce it. But I would have loved to have seen a bit more of a. I think a maroon and yellow, a maroon and gold would look really cool. But
I'm going to give you guys
very summary, though.
Very summary. I'll give you guys a whole screenshot. It reminds me of the San Diego Chargers. Let me give you a good screenshot. So I'll give you a full screen of it. There's a full screenshot of it right there. You can see that blue and that yellow. It very, very it pops. That canary yellow really pops. And you can see a good look at the logo right in the middle of the graphic there. It's the same basic logo, but with a blue and yellow color scheme. But that's the new Brisbane Bandit and the Always Brisbane. But that came out over the course of late last week right there. But you can see the Brisbane Bandit logo. New color scheme and new rebranding for them. And, and Paul and I both have talked about this. We're both big fans of rebranding colors. We've talked about, and I was going to lead you to that. Because my next topic was the whole the history of the game in the West. You've seen that with the museum.
Absolutely, but I will say one great thing about the Brisbane one is it is a return to the old sort of '90s ABL. That was the colours back in the '90s. So I mean, it is a great note on that. Yeah, DV, a lot of good things happening out in the West with capturing the history of the game. Plenty of announcements coming up in the next little while, so I won't break too much news. But yeah, we tweeted out sort of that old, and we've talked about it so many times on the broadcast, that old Brewers kit that when they were the WA Brewers with that black and gold. It looks brilliant. Kind of has that and those. What are those hats? Those old Pirates hats called? They're
there's a I just always call them old 1800s caps. What they look like.
I think they're called like pill something.
They're there's a name for them, and it escapes me now. But yes, you're right.
Those old hats. Those hats, they look great as well, and I think and this is where great job for Brisbane to bring back the history of the game with the black and gold, the yellow and gold. It's just it's just very little Adelaide Giants, but it's all good. I think we need the more of the history game we can capture, the better. But yeah, phenomenal amount of just on the history of the game, and sort of working with some exceptional people in the last little while, just kind of trying to help carve out some of the history of Western Australia baseball. But like there's a glove I saw this week, Dan, from one of the players in WA, he was his glove in 1938, 39, I think. And, to think the game has such deep history here is, often, and I think Robbie Glendinning, just completely going all over the show as I am at the moment, Robbie Glendinning was spot on. I think, you bring that game back into the city and you tie that history back in, and the sky's the limit for the game.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. That was Robbie's first thought. And, and that's what I love about our league and about our game in Australia is that the players are so engaged in the future of the game. I'll be honest with you, you don't get that everywhere in the States. I mean, a lot of guys, they kind of took it for granted. They grew up playing the game. It's on every street corner. Baseball, it's kind of taken for granted. But in Australia, players like Robbie and the guys that carry that torch for the Heat and for Brisbane and for Sydney and for Adelaide, all the whole bunch, they all take that seriousness of their legacy. They all take it very seriously. And I think that's great to see where a guy realizes, you know what, we got to take that game back to the people, into the city, into the place where the pulse of the people are. And I love the fact that young man gets it, because I think that's something, I've talked about time and time again. Facility in the right place.
Yeah, and look, the facility out west is amazing, and it's the best in the country. We know that, but look, if it was closer to the city, I think we've talked about it. You used to live down in Leederville. I mean, if the games were down there in Leederville and people would go out and have something to eat, maybe a couple of adult beverages, and stroll into the game, or sort of stay at the game a little bit, stroll back into town, it would change the game radically. And look, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but I think. If someone came in with a boatload of money, then I think that would be I think Robbie's spot on. That would be your absolute first port of call.
One more big piece. Well, I say big piece. It's a pretty good piece of news coming out of Sydney, and I know you probably saw this as well. I had the graphic up for us a moment ago, but the ABL graphic. But the Blue Sox making a signing. They made a move, and it was the move of Lachlan Wells was signed. And here's a guy that was on that list of players, 4 or 5 years ago. He was an international signee, Twins farmhand, found himself a top 30 prospect. He's a lefty who threw strikes, member of Team Australia, the 17 Classic, had been away from the ABL for the last couple of years. Some injuries had also slowed him down. He was seen last year in the Twins Rookie League and also in Florida State League in Fort Myers. He is back in Sydney colors, and anytime you get a prospect, a Australian prospect who's got some skins in the wall, and you're getting back in the league, that's a plus. Good for Sydney to see a lefty Lachlan Wells back.
Yeah, great. Guy with a high ceiling as well, and the more these guys we can get back in the ABL, the better. I mean, you were spot on when we were talking to Robbie before. A lot of these really good prospects. And talking to a young guy at the ballpark the other day, Blake, who's over. A lot of the guys that go off to college or go off to minor leagues, we don't necessarily get to see particularly pitchers, they tend to get shut down from their the teams over there. So we don't generally get to see a lot of them. But it's special to go along for the journey because, as you know, DV, when we saw Lewis Thorpe the first time, when we saw Jack O'Loughlin the first time, and you go, boy, that kid's got a future. The very first time we saw Thorpe throw, we were nor you nor I are surprised he's throwing for the Twins now.
No, not at all. And I think this guy, again, that's another guy. It's the sky's the limit. I want to show you something fun, Paul, because we're kind of bouncing all over the place. We're kind of making up the time for all the technical difficulties. I'll take you back to the American Association to what happened 2 nights ago. And I'll pull this up on the screen. I'm going to show you guys what happened 2 nights ago. And I'm going to play it here, and I'll pull it up on the screen for you guys. And this is what happened on Tuesday night. This would have been Impact Field in Chicago where this happened. And I'm going to go ahead and roll this for us and give you guys, actually got to pull the audio down there. Sorry about that.
Now, I want
sorry
you to
about
take
that.
a
Bring this down.
moment and think
sorry.
what the odds are of scoring a run in every inning as the sprinklers come on. It's time for some spring cleaning.
Sprinklers came on there, partner. I don't know if you guys could actually see that, but I'm going to pull it for you again. But the sprinklers came on
Maybe AJ
in the American Association. This was a couple of days ago, and you guys have seen we've all seen Bull Durham, right? We've all seen the Bull Durham where crash gets you, the rain out, whatever. And they got a rain. I'm sure I play it again because I don't know why it did that for me, but again, I'm having I don't know if this is just an internet thing in my house or what we're going on. I have a sneaking suspicion it was. Let's try it again. This is what happened 2 nights ago, and I want to show this to you one more time here. We'll see if it'll work for me, and press play, and let's see if it'll go. Come on, bad boy. Let's go. Let's put this up for you guys. Here we go. This is the rain delay right here from 2 nights ago. There you go. You can see the sprinklers right there. See them right there. And the players all stand there kind of in shock going, okay. Righty. We have a rain delay, and you see the groundskeeper off in the distance running like a madman out towards center field. And that was in the American Association. The American Association had 2 delays this week. They had a sprinkler delay, the a la Crash Davis sprinkler delay right there. And then they also had a COVID delay on Sunday where the Dogs and the Milwaukee Milkmen were actually COVIDed out. It was the first COVID rain out, if you want to call it, postponement in the association. I know you're a little distant from that, but were you surprised that there was a COVID out, that minor leaguers tested pot? Is that any breaking news, really?
No, I don't think it's any breaking news. Look, I get your take on it, DV. When I saw particularly when I saw the Major League Baseball roster come out the other day, you look at how much these guys are traveling, and what's your thoughts? I mean, if you were to give us a percentage of the actual season finishing or going ahead or going like seamlessly fine, I mean, it'd have to be pretty low, I would have thought.
Yeah, and I think that's one reason why we go back to the San Miguel, while these deep player pools. I can see a scenario, and this is one reason why they're having the big league club. For example, I was just watching the highlights of the news earlier tonight here in Texas, where the Rangers were having BP this afternoon at their new ballpark, while their taxi squad is some 40 miles away at a minor league park. Also, this week, today, the Chicago White Sox announced they're going to be playing their taxi squad workouts. Will be going at Schaumburg, home of the Schaumburg Boomers in the Frontier. The Frontier / Can-Am League. They're playing at a minor league ballpark while the big club's at the big park. And I think that's what you're going to see, because I think it's going to happen. You're going to have a situation where one team's going to have put it this way, during a regular season of baseball, hockey, basketball, football, whatever, footy, inevitably the flu or the cold spreads around the clubhouse, right? It happens. Yep. 4 or 5 players get it, or whatever. They all eat the same food, but there's something like that happens in the league. It's going to happen. I mean, the Dodgers are going to have 15 guys test. Suddenly you're going to have 15 new players on your roster. That's why the new deep player pool. I think that's going to happen, and I think that's what's going to be the real surprise of it. Through 1 week, the American Association, which is started on Friday, they're now a week into it tomorrow or today over in Australia. to have one game postponed because of COVID, if you're averaging one a week, I mean, it cuts your season down another 8, 9, 10 games. I think you're going to have it. I mean, I just don't see how it's any way around it. If that's the case, for example, another thing is, and this happened with Joey Gallo of the Rangers. He tested positive, but then he tested negative. Then he tested positive. Even the tests aren't even 100% accurate. That's the crazy part. So I think you're in for and it's like something we talked about last week, and a good mate of mine, Dylan Tice, who I had on my Kansas City show yesterday, said he's a player in Milwaukee right now playing for the Milwaukee Milkmen. And every day something new happens to them that they didn't know about, protocol-wise. Because we're all learning. We've never been through this before. And we've never been through it as teachers, bankers, lawyers, doctors, parents, whatever. Our rules change almost daily, and only imagine what a baseball player goes through. I mean, it's kind of the way it is.
Yeah, look, I think, and this is where I think DSAN's got a real shot at Major League Baseball. I mean, the teams are going to have to get extremely creative on how they're going to get through it. And as you say, DV, there's a real shot that we got a remake of the Keanu Reeves movie, The Replacements, when when the team at the minor league ballpark come in and play in the big league ballpark, and vice versa. But look, I think there's a real chance, particularly around starting pitchers. You 1, 2, 3 maybe. Like, I think there's a real chance that you have your pitcher, your starting pitcher, and your catcher who sort of isolate from everyone else, and maybe they travel on different schedules. Maybe they do a lot of things differently to everyone else. And but boy, it would be. I mean, I think what is it, 50,000 new cases in the US today. It would be like, you can't imagine how it possibly can really go through. And I've said it all along. I think the NFL is going to be the first sport really to return to North America, because I think that's a sport you can kind of get away a little bit with the fact they've got helmets on. I think you can kind of maybe control it a little bit better in the NFL, but
no doubles in this
I'm not
spot.
Sure. I'd love nothing
and
more,
that ball
DV, than to wake
should
up
end it.
Baseball on the TV,
Whitefield
or baseball
waiting.
on the radio, but
Team Australia survives.
I'm still very much not sure.
They win it
3-1
there with 2 in the 8th inning, and they could end up moving on to the Super Round with a Korea win.
And we
tonight.
saw that
and we're going to have to wait
this is announced
until Korea,
as well
Cuba play tonight,
yesterday.
Korea's look so good.
The 2020
it's
Australian women's and youth women's
what
baseball championships
to
were
determine
canceled.
whether or not they get on a plane and
Are we
going
to see Team Australia? I mean, should we be concerned about that as well? Because
effort by,
Robbie even
Team
said they're in the right spot.
The
are you
margins
worried
so
about the
slim in this
future of
group.
international
We
baseball
about it when group
going
play
forward?
started here in C.
I'm worried about the
ago.
future of sport moving forward, like in general. I think
there's a very evenly matched side.
Yeah.
And it's been pitching and defense, and Australia came up with the one big hit, as you see the disappointment for Canada.
Yeah, and you look in that dugout too, you see that big upset.
Different way, but I think professional sport is in a real, I think it's in the highest of high risk categories, because I just can't see how you can't sustain the money that these guys are getting paid without the fans. You can't sustain it without the show going on the road. The show can't go on the road like it would, and it's just, and this is my biggest concern around the ABL is, if you get through all the hurdles and you get through every conceivable hurdle and you get to the field, the biggest elephant in the room is, do any of the partners, sponsors, call it what you want, are they going to invest any money in the teams? Like, that's unlikely. And if that doesn't happen, and so you supposedly get fans to the stadium, and is that enough? Is that enough to keep the lights on? I'm not sure as well. But yeah, in general, DV, I really think sport could be in for some real dark times in the next 5 years.
Yeah, it's definitely a crazy time, and it's going to be. I think the next, let's just say 4 or 5 weeks are going to be huge, because just the time frame of it. The ABL schedule will come out probably, assuming it comes out, would be, and I think the first warning sign would be if you see a delayed schedule announcement. That'd be the first thing to worry about. But it's supposed to come out tail end of the month, 1st of August. It usually comes out already, but they were going to move that back into August. 2, how things in Victoria are, how that works, how things in the states like Texas and Arizona and Florida turn, how all that goes. If we can somehow migrate the U.S. summer and the Australian winter and somehow get those curves down, and perhaps, because we were actually, I mean, a month ago, I felt pretty confident we were going to be fine. But now it's all up in the air. They're talking about canceling and moving college sports to the spring. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities. So I think it's a crucial 4 weeks for this pandemic we're going through to somehow run its course, or at least definitely take a huge trend downwards, especially in North America, because I think really in Victoria, both places, but really North America, and it's going to be a real crucial 4 weeks.
Tell me, DV, slightly it was a Kansas City time anyway. Did the signing of Patrick Mahomes, the $500 million over 10 years, did that give you, as a guy who works in sports, did that give you sort of like, okay, well, I know, I think I think 100 million of it is guaranteed, but it's, did that give you some sort of hope to think, well,
I think the thing is, we know we're going to go back to playing sport at some time. Now, how that looks will be different, and maybe we may be 2 or 3 years recovering from this, because let's say they move to the spring and everything moves to the spring and we got a short off season. But obviously they wouldn't have signed Patrick Mahomes if they didn't think he was going to be playing, or they'll be playing football. The way I understand it, at some point we expect between October to next spring in the States some kind of a vaccine for this thing. That all kind of works in that window. So I feel confident we're going to have sport at some time. Now, the longer this thing goes, it's going to take a while everything's going to take a while to overcome the adjustment. We're going to have to get back to normal at some point. But let's just say we don't play ABL until 21. That's going to be a big adjustment. Let's say we move the NFL season to March. Let's say we move baseball. We play baseball into November, and then we move it again to start playing again in May of next year. We've got really short off seasons and all that. So it's going to be different for a couple of years until we get right back into our cycle. But like you said a while ago, all bets are off when it comes to what we do going forward. I think this is the time. You got to be creative. But I feel good about it. I think in general, I think that, heck, even seeing Lachlan Wells signing with the Sydney Blue Sox, that gave me some Sydney's going to go out and sign a player. If the Heat are going to name a manager, I saw the Heaters hiring a couple of permanent part-time positions, and I feel like they wouldn't do that if they thought we weren't going to have baseball. I think, but again, I say that, and here's a guy who hired an entire staff for the 2020 season in Kansas City, had to call them all and say, oh, by the way, we're not playing. So what do I know, right? So, I feel better.
Tell me this, though, DV. Is this by far this is off a slight topic, this is the hardest year ever to play fantasy baseball?
Oh, I was prepared for getting kind of sort of locked into that mode in March, because baseball starts late March, early April. I already got my fantasy notices March 1 or into February, then boom, it goes on the dry. And then now we're going to get again. Yeah, I think it is, because you don't know, A, who's going to stay healthy, who's not going to test positive. And then B, the short season, that's the thing that's crazy. That's the thing I don't think people realize. And you and I as ABLers know how the short season really works out in a sprint. And guys can go off on a tear for 20, 30 games, 40 games, and be in a flat-out funk, or flip it around. They can be in a flat-out funk for 30 games, a third of a season. But you go on a funk for a third of a season now, your team's in trouble. You're in trouble. Yeah. So it makes it a challenge for fantasy football for sure.
Absolutely. Well, DV, I must say, I appreciate.
Hey, we fought through it. We fought through it.
Hard work, because I know it's and pull the curtain back. It takes, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a video live stream, to pull the curtain back, it takes a long time to set up these things. So it's always. I feel for you, mate. Whenever I see some technical snafus,
it happens. It happens sometimes. It's great software, but sometimes it doesn't all cooperate. And we're connecting. I'm in Texas. Robbie was in Idaho. You're in Perth in Western Australia. We're all across the globe. We were all live at one time, and some wires got crossed and all that. But we'll be all good. We'll all be good for next week. Next week's show, we haven't even gotten that far yet, but we will have somebody. I know we want to get Brooke. I mentioned earlier, we want to get Brooke on at some point. D. San Miguel, perhaps Alan. I know we've reached out to others as well. And we want to be on top of things as things develop. I've reached out to a couple of former imports over the States as well to catch up on ABL connections as well. So we'll be working hard on that for you guys for next week. And any thoughts on when we're going to have the show next week? We like this time? We want to go back to what are we doing?
Well, it might be a Friday, I think, because my lovely wife turns the big 40 next Thursday. So
all right.
So it might be Friday. I think it will be again next week. We should look forward to that. But,
you guys are so young. So you better behave yourself. Yeah, better. Well, that's what kids will do for you, right? And then it's like, exactly. It's funny. I'll tell this one little story before we go. I was listening to the highlights of Robbie batting, and one of the conversations you, me, and Simon were having at the time. We were talking about being parents and about, and Simon was talking about Calvin, about his daughter, and you were talking about your son who woke you up that morning to find out Tim Kennelly, how he did. And I mentioned to both of you guys that when they do grow up and go off to college and go to Italy and graduate and do other things, and Simon's like, don't tell me that. And you were like, don't tell me that. So it was I got a little chuckle when you said that, because that was the highlight. You didn't hear the audio in the background, but we were all talking about that when Robbie had the big thing. Hey, thanks, mate. I'll see you next week, brother.
Let's get some runs.
Let's get some runs. There he is, Paul Morgan, joining me there from Perth. We somehow fought through it. Appreciate his time and appreciate you guys for joining us as well. Again, you can follow us on Facebook. Our Talking Baseball Australia Facebook's up. By the way, if you're an Australian baseball fan, you want to follow the American Association, the only league playing right now. If you don't want to go, you want to get some of those insights, we actually will post the Steakhouse Show, which is the Kansas City T-Bone Show. It's up on our page right now. You can also follow the American Association at aatv.com. Let me pull that up. I actually want to give that to you guys because right now it's the only thing going in the as far as baseball in North America. I should say in North America. Here it is. Right there's the site right there. Pull me down. That's the site. AA Baseball TV. That's the place to go. And there are all the 6 teams that are playing in the American Association, and many former ABLers in that mix right now. Wes Helzelbeck was one of the pitched a couple nights ago. Just to name a few. Let's see. Plenty of the Coral Prime hit a home run tonight as well for the Fargos. So there's plenty of West Darville, and the list goes on. A lot of former ABLers. You can check that out right there. Of course, we're on Twitter. Paul Morgan and myself, I'll put that graphic up for you in a moment. You'll see that on our close, and you can follow us on Talking Baseball Australia as well on Twitter. Our new website's coming. It's in its initial stages, and we'll have it up and ready to go probably another 10 days or so. We'll be able to find archives of these fine shows and also interviews and highlights and things like that. We've done, I don't think people realize, we've got a lot of archives of things we've done with Talking Baseball Australia. This little venture began as a radio show in 2011 and 12 before I came to the ABL. I joined in 12, 13. But we've taken this thing, a little radio show in the Western Australia in Perth, and we've turned it into some pretty good content consistently. And Paul and I produce and keep doing it because we're dreamers. We're dreamers. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining. Hug somebody close to you. Please be safe wherever you are. Spread the good love and the joy, and just be kind to others. Have empathy as we try to fight through this really weird at 2020. And until next time, Dan Vaughn saying next time, see the broadcast next week. Have a great rest of your week. And let's put the close sign up. There it is. The close sign. It's the part I hate the most. I'll put that close sign up. And there you go. Don't forget, you can follow us, Talking Baseball Australia, baseball's best mate all year round. There you go. And we wanted to have you guys join us next week on the show. And the show next week, here we go. And we will actually put the open. Cue the close here. Let's cue that close here on Talking Baseball Australia. We'll see you next time again. Good night, everybody.
Some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for its fruit.